First of all, good
Thank you.
morning to everyone, and thank you for introducing me. Uh, Today's topic is basically reinventing the business with data analytics and AI. And what I'm going to share in the next half an hour or so is about how IBM basically is addressing that space. Uh, we are in unprecedented times because of pandemic. So a lot of companies are going through digital transformations, or they have gone through it because the situation forced that. And we are generating data day by day, and the amount of data that we generate today is phenomenal. And every interactions that we have with our customers, with our suppliers, with our partners, every interaction point generates data. And so a lot of time when you look at it, we basically sometimes feel that we are actually, more than anything else, we are a data company now. We have all kind of data that we assemble in one place, we analyze it, we use it for decision making, we use it for analyzing patterns, behaviors, and whatnot else. And that's basically is driving some of the changes that we see in the organizations. And let me just briefly touch how we have evolved over a period of time. In 90s, it was all about product. It was just a product-centric organizations. We prepared one product and basically sold it. The 2000s saw the product and services, because product creation was one part of the stuff, but how to use that product and to provide services around that was another aspect. In 2010, we basically looked at a customer-centric organizations where we believe that is product-centric and services-centric organizations are not going to be successful. We need to make sure that we are customer-centric, we are focusing on customers, what the customer needs, what the customer wants, how the customer wants it, and through that process, also, how can we basically interact with the customers on all digital channels, digital front. Now, come 2020, basically that's accelerated, and it has gone into where data becomes a central pivot around which we basically are taking various aspects of business decisions and how we are addressing our customers, whether it from marketing perspective, whether it is from servicing perspective, or fulfillment perspective. And that's basically where the changes are. And that's where organizations need to focus how they can utilize and analyze all the data that has been collected in a manner that can provide insight and help them to drive a decision making process. And not only decision-making process, but also looking at how they can help in the compliance area as well, and the regulatory areas as well. So what actually is a data-centric customer experience? The idea is that we should be able to look at all the data of the customers, with their behaviors, what they have spent, where they're spending, what they like, what they don't like, taking all that into consideration and basically addressing and servicing those customers with differentiated services is all that is basically behind a data-centric customer experience. The customer feels that we know about them, we are with them, we are addressing their specific needs and not just giving them random marketing material or marketing offers, or we are just basically randomly providing them some service. We need to ensure that using all that information that's available in the data that we have collected, we are giving them a differentiated services. And that's why we say at IBM, data is the fuel for artificial intelligence and AI-led transformations. And as the moderator talked about in the beginning, that today every organization talks about AI, and AI has different parts to it, be it conversational AI, be it predictive models, be it behavioral analytics. All these things are basically relying on data. The more accurate data you have, the more trusted data that you have, the better it is to rely on the outcome of those data. Here are some of the examples of customers of IBM who have relied on their data journey and basically taken advantage of their journey and driven transformation initiatives across their enterprise, leveraging the power of data and AI together. And they basically have taken into different areas of data, I would say data analytics, be it the collections of data, or be it the data pipeline, or be it the consumption through a model or a predictive model, or be it a conversational AI. These customers have embarked on their journey to basically leverage the data assets that they have to improve the customer experiences of the customers who are interacting with them. Now, these customers that I just showed on the previous slide and the market in general, what are some of their needs and demands from a platform which addresses data, AI, or analytics? One of the critical things that the business users needs is the ease of use, easy and manageable. I would say the analytics, how they can easily discover data, how they can find out data assets and everything within the organization. How can we help customers to auto-discover data within the enterprise and at a scale? How can that be automated to some level of I would say to some level? The idea would be to discover all the data automatically, but that's basically still far away. But if we can automate that process to some extent, that would be a great help. And last but not the least is the data that is available should be governed, means I can trust the data that I have basically in whichever repository that I collect, and it should be secure as well. Because as we are depending on prediction models, as we are using predictive models, various other models that on top of the data, if the data is not trustworthy, the predictions and outcome could be basically lead to a situation where in some regulated industry like the financial services, it could lead to fines. And in other, and more than fines, it's the reputational risk that basically we approach a customer with the wrong information. That's not going to be liked by anyone. So fines are one aspect, but reputational risk is another aspect that we need to look at. So that's why a platform should be able to provide ease of use, should be able to help with auto discovery of data assets within the enterprise at a scale, and should be able to provide a trusted and secure data to the end application, the end users as well. So why there is such a big challenge that we talk about? We always talk about data, but what we always find that 90% of the business leaders less always improving on the use of data. I have talked to various customers within ASEAN, and there are still lots of issues highlighted by the customers about the usage of the data, availability of the data, and basically how they can utilize all the information available in some form or shape. And lots of customers are also going through the transformations on the digital front, and they're basically still looking at how best to utilize the information and how they can basically infuse all the insight that gets generated into the digital process as well. And to basically run artificial intelligence or data science, I will use that interchangeably, we need to be able to use data from different diverse sources. We should be able to provide, we should be able to trust the data that is available. We need to basically be able to support tools and frameworks. And these days we talk about open source and everything, and a lot of customers are looking at open source as well. So how can a platform use some of the open source and still provide enterprise level support and be able to run today across multiple environments, be it on-premise, a private cloud, be it a public cloud, or be it a hybrid environment. So that's basically where the challenges that we see. And basically what we are looking at IBM basically prescribes a prescriptive approach when you are embarking on journey to AI. Of course, there are various components to this whole approach. As I mentioned, one is to ensure that you have a platform and solution that can run on premise, on cloud, or in a hybrid cloud environment. Should be secure so that we can manage the risk and defense against data thefts and threats. Of course, it requires talent and expertise. And then basically there are various aspects of the solution areas that need to be taken care, which are basically collect, organize, analyze, and infuse. Collect is basically making data simple and accessible. And let me take you through what we talk about in collect. We need to be able to either collect all the data that we generate or we have within the organization, or we should be able to connect to that without the complexities of where it resides. Business users should not have the complexity of, or it resides on the cloud, it resides on-prem, or resides in this system, or resides on that system. They should be able to access all data in a trustworthy manner, and basically be available to all queries and analysis that they do. Now, that could basically mean that I need to connect to a different environments. So that's behind the scene. I should be able to connect to a database of the organization that they have. They could have multiple databases, multiple types of databases. They could have a data warehouse. They could have a data mart somewhere. They could have a data lake or Hadoop-based environment. I should be able to connect to those environments seamlessly without the details that are basically that the IT team needs to work behind. Now, some of the components that we look at from what basically allows that. So the cloud pack for data platform that we're talking about, and some of the components of the collect part is either you could basically store it in a let's say a DB2 or a DB2 warehouse, or even open source. These days we see a lot of customers basically looking at MongoDB or Postgres, CockroachDB, or even from the perspective of sometimes some customers prefer to have on-premise a private cloud appliance like Netezza Performance Server that IBM Cloud Pack for Data provides. So these are some of the places where, and Hadoop-based environment, of course. And these are basically where you can either store the information or you should have ability to virtually connect to all these environments and basically treat that as one data, a big data repository for the organization. And we should be able to provide a virtualization layer on top of all these data stores to give you data that is required. As we said, AI relies on data. Lots of data would provide better results with the models that are basically executed. So the ability to provide the data, because sometimes not all data is available in the warehouse or data lake as well. So we need to have that ability to have a virtualization layer that can connect to various data sources and provide you that ability to look at all the information that's available within the enterprise. Then basically comes the data pipeline. Yes, all that data is available somewhere, but we need to bring it into either the repository or we need to basically into the data lake. There are certain regulations that we need to adhere to. For example, in banks, there is the BCBS 239, where I need to look at the lineage and I need to look at impact of what's happening. We should be able to provide the ability to make sure that we know exactly how the data was sourced, what kind of things it has gone, what kind of transformations it has gone through, and how is there a way that basically we can prove this is how all the calculations are done. This is what the function, this is what the meaning of that terms are, consistent meaning of the terms, and provide an enterprise catalog of data assets so that the business users, the analysts, the data analysts, the IT engineers, data engineers are all able to search through that enterprise catalog to basically search for a data assets across the enterprise. And that's basically something that will help the organizations when they are relying on, when they are embarking on their AI journey, that they do not have to go from team to team to ask about data availability or certain aspects. They should basically be able to search through the data catalog and should be able to search their data assets. And now searching data assets is one aspect, but also making sure that is policy and procedures and security is applied on top of it, in the sense that I can search the data assets, but I may or may not necessarily have data access to it. And so I need to request all that workflow that I need access to these data assets and to the data underneath under these data assets. And that request should be able to basically fly from the same source system rather than coming out and dropping an email or requesting on phones. So there is a full workflow process for addressing that. Of course, this also entails there could be sensitive data within that data elements that needs to be masked or protected. Now, so we need to be able to apply the data policies on the data assets that we have. And that's basically the whole function of the AI ladder called Organize. And depending upon what kind of work that is required, whether there is an ETL requirement, sometimes you do not have to do an ETL. You can virtually connect to those data sources so you can have access to the data that's available without doing an ETL. But if an ETL is required or data quality functions are required, there are tools and technologies that I've listed down at the bottom that basically can provide that functionality. Also, how do you handle master data management? How do you handle product management, product masters? So all these things are also important from a governance perspective, as well as from preparing the data pipeline and data ops perspective. So that's the organized part of the ladder that we talked about addresses. And it ensures that we have governance, we have ability to do lineage, we do have ability to have enterprise data catalog, which basically provides simplicity and ease of searching data assets through the organizations. We are able to enforce policy and compliance controls and basically provides you a data ops foundation to deliver a trusted data pipeline. Let's move to the next, which is basically where we talk about the next step, which is analyze. And analyze is the ability to look at information, drive the insight. And this is where I talked about some open source solutions basically been put in. We support within the Cloud Pak for Data, we do support Python, Scala, Jupyter Notebook, and you can use your own machine libraries as well. But this layers provides you the ability to analyze the information, uh, and basically provide you uh, capabilities to build models. Also, not every organization has the benefits of having many data scientists, so they need some ability to machines to basically run and I would say auto initiate that process, auto run that process, which we call is auto AI or auto ML, which is basically ability of machine to look at data and generate a model based on some indicators that you provide. And machine would be able to develop a predictive model and basically give you the output. And it automatically figures out what is the best algorithm to use and provide you the output on that. Now, we need to also look at how to manage the end-to-end automated lifecycle, and basically how do I collaborate with different, if there are different data scientists, I need the platform should be able to provide that collaboration within the platform itself rather than talking or outside the system to different personas that can be there working on a project, be it a data engineer, be it a data analyst, be it a data scientist. They all should be able to collaborate on a project, on a project or product that they are developing, or a model that they are developing in the system. So some of the components that are used for these functions are like the Watson Studio, which is an IDE for data science. Watson Knowledge Catalog provides you the ability to basically create an enterprise-wide catalog. Watson Machine Learning, where you can provide a platform for basically doing the machine learning, and on Auto AI is the ability to do that. Now, one aspect of it is developing the model. Now, we develop model, but sometimes without knowing, we may also introduce a certain level of biasness within the system or within the model. So how do we address the bias, if there is any biasness in the model, and trust and transparency in the model? Because sometimes even the regulators within the financial services can ask, can you explain how this model is behaving, why this model is behaving this way? So explainability of the model is also very important. And we address that space using the Watson OpenScale, making sure that we are able to detect any bias in the system, in the model. We are able to explain how and what are the various thresholds within of the data features, and at what point that the decision point will change, so that you can explain how this model is working. And last but not the least, we also need to address optimization and constraint-based optimizations, and that is through the decision optimization aspects of this pillar that we talk about. And the idea is that we should provide capabilities to the customers to develop models quickly, test them quickly, and basically deploy them, and then making sure that they are able to leverage as a I would say accelerator in an accelerated fashion to basically reach out to those functions. The last but not the least is basically Infuse, which provides you the ability to consume the insight that we have generated. It provides the ability for the organizations to embed the insight that is generated into their applications to make the applications, I would say, AI aware, and leverage that as part of the transformations where you are transforming your current applications into AI-enabled applications. Also, the ability to basically interact and automate certain processes or interactions with your customers, which are quite mundane and can be done by the machine rather than basically dedicating a human workforce, and thereby able to refocus the workforce on very strategic stuff, and the rest can be done by the machine, which is basically providing the ability to interact with the world through machines, and then the ability to transfer that to a human agent you can call or person when it needs to basically, it has reached a level of complexity or certain scenarios in which it needs to be handled by the human workforce. The lots of time these days we talk about addressing unstructured content, and lots of companies talk about that we could have documents and data coming from, let's say, outside, which we need to process and we need to address. And sometimes even during a normal, let's say in a banking transactions, when we open accounts, we provide a lot of documents and other stuff that's available. We have not used that information. And to read that information, we need to be able to process unstructured content and be able to identify documents, data from those documents, and enhance either the data storage or data lakes that we have. And that basically can be done using Watson Discovery and Watson Natural Language Understanding. So these are the components which are part of the Cloud Pak for Data in the 4 pillars. Now, why I walked you through these 4 is it's not necessarily you go in the same sequence, but what the platform is built is in a modular fashion that you can use any of these functions and basically start your journey and build your solutions accordingly. So what is this Cloud Pak for Data? Now, Cloud Pak for Data is a truly hybrid cloud solution platform that we have built, which runs on top of Red Hat OpenShift, and thereby provides the ability to move from on-site to premise in a very quick manner. It provides some base services and or core services, as we call it. And then there are some extended services, which are like very specialized services, which not necessarily you start with, but some customers may require it. And those are basically functions which could be bought on top of the Cloud Pak for Data. Base services are all part of the platform. This is how the whole platform comes together. It can run on IBM Cloud. It can run on AWS. The Cloud Pak for Data runs on Azure or Google. And basically, we run on Red Hat OpenShift containers. So that's basically makes it possible for us to run through various, and we can run in hybrid manner as well. Some parts of it could be on cloud, some part of it could be in on premise. And basically, these are the various 4 modules that I talked about, 4 components that I talked about, just a logical division of functions, the collect, organize, analyze, and data, infuse data, and addressing at that level of there are dashboards and, of course, provisioning that is available. But we address all personas within the organizations, be it the data engineers, data stewards, data scientists, or business users accessing and consuming information, or even our partners, business partners, and apps developers, because they can use some of these functionalities that we provide, and they can basically build their own applications running on top of Cloud Pak for Data, which they can basically provide to their customers. And all this, the foundation, again, if you look at the bottom, there is an enterprise data catalog, which provides the mechanism for discovering all data assets within an enterprise. And basically, business users can search, or data scientists or data engineers can search for any data assets within the, so there is technical metadata and there is and business metadata. And that is where you define all that and ensure that the business terms are all defined. And this, when we talk about governance, we don't talk about governance only on the structured data format, which is basically what typically we do, but we also look at, because data science, it includes a lot of things, and would be Python codes and other workbook notebooks and other stuff, unstructured content as well. The data governance is provided for both structured and unstructured content. And that's one of the important aspects when we build a platform for data and analytics and AI. We need to ensure that the governance covers not only the structured part, but the overall unstructured part as well. Now, That was from a platform perspective. Some of the customers requested and asked us that we don't want to look at only the software platform. We may need a solutions that has everything put together. So, or basically the hardware and software put together. So we also offer our customers a choice for if they want to do a private cloud on their environment, on their premise, they can basically buy and use Cloud Pak for Data Systems, which is cloud in a box and is based on hyper-converged system philosophy. And that's basically the taking the complexity out of doing the install and configurations on those environments, where we basically say we can provide that pre-configured onto an hyper-converged system or an appliance to simplify it, but it's not truly an appliance because you can add on the capacity as you go along in this process. So we have basically simplified that because some customers requested that we want a cloud in a box kind of approach which can run on premise, and as you accelerate your journey to cloud, some components can move from on premise to basically on the cloud, and the same platform can be used across the on-premise as well as the public cloud. So Cloud Pak for Data provides all-in-one pre-integrated system, which basically provides the hardware and the software pre-configured, and delivered to you. It basically leverages all the aspects of the AI ladder that I talked through, where be it collect, organize, analyze, or infuse. Any one of all four, they are basically supported by the Cloud Pak for Data Systems. It does provide you the ability to truly look at a hybrid cloud experience where some functions can be on premise and some could be on the cloud. And because we run even the Cloud Pak for Data system, basically we run that on run with Red Hat OpenShift. We have the ability and portability and scalability across whether the workload can be basically on the public cloud, can move on public cloud as well. And we can also scale out on the on-premise solution by adding additional capacity and in-place upgrade to that system. So we can basically, with the Cloud Pak for Data systems, what we can provide in a cost-effective manner is to rapidly stand up a new private cloud data and AI platform. It is easily expandable, so you can start small and then basically keep on adding capacity. So unlike an appliance where if the size goes beyond that appliance, you need to change the appliance. In this, what we are saying is that you can add capacity, so you can add expansions as you go along. And sometimes there could be a different generation of hardware be working together. And what we have also done is simplified and unified the software and system management. So there is one console which can manage the hardware as well as the software. And what it provides our customers is speed and the extent of functionality required to deliver their solutions in a quick time, and provides agility as well at a lower cost of ownership. And that's basically why we brought in a solution which basically combines hardware and software together and provide that a cloud in a box environment to our customers. Now, of course, as I mentioned, this platform is expandable. These are some of our partner ecosystems, partners who are basically developing their own solutions, which runs on Cloud Pak for Data. And these, by the way, these are not all. There are much more partners who are developing their solutions on top of it, and they are available and that can run on Cloud Pak for Data. I did mention like MongoDB, Postgres, they all run on Cloud Pak for Data. And basically there are other solutions as well that these guys are developing, which can run on Cloud Pak for Data. So the Cloud Pak for Data is truly a data analytics and AI platform we can start very small and then basically keep on adding those functionalities that I mentioned, like all the four ladders that I talked, components of the ladder I talked about. We do not have to start all four at the same time, or we can start with just, let's say, maybe a collect portions where I'm developing a platform to basically connect to all the data source using virtualization and basically making sure that all the data is available to the teams which are consuming that data. Now, some of the Forrester ran a total economic impact study about some time ago, and these are some of the things that they found out. Now, as I was talking about data virtualization, because you do not have to do an ETL, you can connect to those data sources and provide the data in a virtual manner that can be leveraged by the analytic systems or the analytics models that you are developing. We were able to have a unified user experience through this platform. Everybody has the same look and feel and interactions and collaborations on the same platform, providing increased agility, security, and productivity for all the persona that we talk about. We do have a quite broad and broad sets of functionality across this platform. Now, that breadth and depth of functionality doesn't mean that we have to go and do everything at the same time, but that provides you the ability so that you have ability to grow with the platform, and the platform grows according to your needs, and runs on basically Red Hat OpenShift containers, so that basically makes it possible for moving from one environment on the local environment, which is on your premise, to a cloud environment. Very simple. And of course, as I mentioned, one of the other aspects was the automation of the AI analytics, ability to develop models automatically through the machine, and which can work as a starting point for most organizations. And we provide the ability that whatever model that we do automatically generate using the auto AI, experienced data scientists would be able to take that and modify that content or the model content, and they want to introduce something very specific to the organization, they can do so. So our model output from the auto AI or auto ML is not a black box. It's a white box approach we have taken, where we can create the output into a file, and then the data scientists can do and modify to a specific things that they want to do within that. So that's why I said that we have taken the approach that we can quickly deliver a model which can accelerate your AI journey, and then certain models can be reworked, or additional things being put into that model by the data scientists as they deem fit, and that's what basically provides that ability to do that. Now, some of the benefit we have seen, because we talked about data virtualizations, there is a reduction in ETL requests up to 64%, and least that we have seen is about 25%. The data virtualization itself is about 40 times faster than what it was before. And from a data science perspective, because lots of data scientists used to spend time on data discovery and data sorting out the data, we find that a lot of time has been saved for the data science projects from spending much time on data than they can actually spend on building the model. And of course, because it provides a unified platform for management dashboards, that basically reduces the infrastructure management cost, and some of the numbers that you can see here. Now, an example of a customer who has used the Cloud Pak for data, and they basically addressed that, eliminated the data silos, ability to scale with demand, like they started small, and then basically ability to keep on adding the infrastructure as well as the functionality as their business requirements grew. and is growing. Then this is another bank which has basically looked at the data pipeline, and they used Cloud Pak for Data systems to basically address the various needs of theirs, and they basically provided that. And this is another example of a customer who has basically used the Watson AI capabilities and ability to do address the predictive models handling structured, unstructured external data using machine learning, and that's basically it. Now, just before I end, it is not just about the platform of software platform and the hardware platform. We also provide our customers with access to a data science elite team, which are a set of experts who can basically provide the ability, work with the customers to develop a starting point of their journey on AI, can work with the customers on developing a use case to develop an MVP. And basically, because talent is one of the other aspects that we provide our customers with, and provide the ability to look at how they can not only use the platform, but how they can use it and use the data science elite team to partner with their teams and embark on the journey. A faster way. Now you can basically, when the links are when the PowerPoint is shared, you can basically look at, you can yourself experience the product, and you can access this from this link, and you can find more details. Now, you can always, I talked about such a big platform and such a solutions which basically addresses the various aspects of data analytics and AI, but we can always start with a small idea of whatever you have, and we can basically build on top of it and build that in a manner that we can start with that solutions and increase or expand the solutions and the footprint as we go along in this journey. So with that, basically, I'll finish the session. For any information, you can always contact IBM, local IBM teams, talk about, or you want to have a more detailed session on Cloud Pak for Data. You can reach out to IBM, or you can reach out to me. I basically given you my email address earlier. I'll just basically, I will do that so that you can see that again. And then I would like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunities to talk about Cloud Pak for Data as a platform for data analytics and AI to all of you. And with that, I'll stop here.